Hi guys, Dr. Brian Hart here, your favorite astrophysicist extraordinaire. How are you doing? It's a pleasure to see you. So today, what I'm going to just show you is how awesome a C# developer, at least I think I am, of course. Other people may have their opinion about that. But one of the technologies that I like to develop in actually is Windows Forms in C#. And so a lot of people, I think, give Windows Forms a bad rap because they think that the other technology that used to build Windows desktop UIs, which is Windows Presentation Foundation, is more superior. But I have to think that you can still teach Windows Forms some old Windows Forms dog some new tricks. So let's check it out. Okay, so I'm opening up my Notepad application here in Microsoft Windows 10. And as you can see, it's pretty bland. Got, the icon in the corner, got the title on this title bar. And again, I'm going to get a little technical for you guys. Okay, so you guys who aren't coders, please bear with me, but I'm talking to the coders in the room, okay? And anyway, I just wanted to share with you about this technology. So back in the days of Windows 3.1, we got this tool called Windows Notepad, and of course, it is a really antiquated tool. You guys must think I'm dating myself horribly for showing such an old tool. So, but check out the elements of a typical Microsoft Windows desktop window. Okay, so what we have is the icon, the tile bar, and you can click the icon to get what's called the system menu here. Okay, and it has the title of the application on the title bar, and it has minimize, maximize, and restore button. Okay, so as you can see, Notepad's pretty boring, right? It's got a title bar, the buttons on the top. You can maximize the window, and it turns into a restore button. Ever since I was a kid, I was always fascinated by like Windows desktop UI windows. Okay, and you have the minimize button, which turns it down into an icon here in the bottom of the screen, right? So all these fun, cool things, and of course, if you click and drag the window without actually clicking this little restore button, to turn into a normal size window, it will turn into a normal size window on its own. Okay, so this is also, and then you have a menu bar and also the edit window. Now, this is not an actual Windows Forms application, but it's really typical of the kinds of applications you can generate with Windows Forms. So here I am in Microsoft Visual Studio 2019. And as you can see, I have a really stupid, dumb, Windows Forms application, right? You might be thinking, why are we hiring this guy? Why are we paying him all this money we pay him? If you're my current employer watching this, right? And it's like, you know, he must be totally 90s, must be totally outdated. Why isn't he using all the stuff that the cool kids are using, right? With Python or C#, Universal Windows Platform, XAML, WPF, all that good stuff, right? So he's using fucking Windows Forms. Excuse my language, but I wanted to emphasize, right? And this is just so like from the old days, right? And even if I, uh, do start the debugger, I get my dummy Windows Forms application, right? Got to build it, okay? Because I just recently put in these changes. So, okay, so got it to build. And right, I mean, we're starting it up and it looks like total crap, right? It's like boring, we used these back in the 90s. For those who weren't even born in the 90s, I apologize if I'm making like a dated reference, but really, this is like, don't hire anybody who writes this kind of crappy, user interface, right? Okay, well, one thing I want to just invite you to do is take a look at the Visual Studio window behind it, okay? So first of all, it has a status bar, the status bar is blue, right? And it's colorized with a dark theme, okay? So you can see it easily in a darkened room. And the menu bar is on the frickin' title bar of the window. See right here, it's the icon you click to get the little menu, and here's your little buttons that, minimize and maximize a window. So the idea is, of course, we want to get our dumb little stupid Windows Forms application that is so out of date. We want to see, actually I know how to turn this into the Visual Studio window. Now the Visual Studio window, by the way, is actually written using Windows Presentation Foundation and XAML, XAML. Okay, it is not written using Windows Forms, because like we said, Windows Forms is totally uncool, right? Uncool, just don't even use it. And I'm such a dweeb for programming in it, right? Like you think, who is this guy? So, let us, where you got the boring toolbar, you got the title bar with the little icon, you got your little buttons, and you got your little menus, and you got your little toolbar here and status bar. Okay, well, so I'm here to tell you in this video that I have found out the way to take this Windows Forms application and jazz it up into looking exactly pretty much like the Visual Studio window and even behaving the same way it does. One of the features the Visual Studio window has is kind of interesting. It's not very obvious, but it's called Snap to Maximize. And Snap to Maximize, when you're at in a certain spot on the screen, it will actually automatically maximize the window for you, which is pretty cool if you just want to take the otherwise maximized Visual Studio window and move it from one monitor to the other monitor to the other monitor, and then just have it snap into place. In fact, actually, I could be wrong, and I don't even think the Visual Studio window supports that. But my new technology that I've managed to create in Windows Forms is doing this. And by the way, this is all about my wanting to make Windows Forms great again. Okay, kind of like Make America Great Again, but this is Make Windows Forms Great Again. Okay, so let me show you what it is I'm talking about, and maybe you guys can follow along. Okay, so we're going to turn this stupid, dumb, ugly ass form into a thing of beauty. Okay, how are we going to do it? Well, fair enough. So, but it comes in handy sometimes, it really does, especially with forms, because inherited forms and Windows Forms was never really quite done right by Microsoft, so you kind of have to use. So, alright, so anyway though, I'm going to transform this bad boy into a really awesome piece of code. And so I'm going to, and of course, the menus and the toolbars don't work, right? This is just for visual and demonstration purposes only, so don't expect me to show you guys like a working application here. This ain't no Microsoft Word, okay? We're just demoing. So let me cut to the new look, to making Windows Forms great again. So my friends, this is what you can do with Windows Forms. Look at this nice, clean, professional look, and we have our minimize, maximize, and restore buttons. We can move our form, and we can even change the size too, like for instance here. And of course, we can click the icon in the corner and we can get our fun little system menu to make it look like old-fashioned Windows. This is actually important to put in here because this is an experience that the users of Windows have come to depend upon being there for them just in case. This is especially important for those users that require accessibility, that they might need to use a menu as opposed to moving and dragging the window. So as you can see, this I'm a pretty great programmer because I made a Windows form turn from boring to better. Boring to better. Okay, just once again, boring to better. Here's our snazzy new form, and if you notice here down in the corner, it still says the title that used to be on the title bar, but now it's on our little taskbar icon. One of the cool things about this is that this form here had to actually be designed in a pretty weird way and then heavily subclassed and redrawn. This border here, for example, is actually painted using the Windows on Paint function. Okay, this is painted on. And this sizing is done by some pretty sophisticated graphical user interface message handling. Here, this does not natively come with your Windows window that you have to redraw in order to make it look like a snazzy WPF window. So anyway, that's all for now. I just wanted to give you a taste of what it is I'm capable of. I'm just saying that here's an idea that we shouldn't, what I want to leave you with is that we shouldn't throw away a tried and true, very well supported technology such as Windows Forms, because look what we can do with the code in order to make it better.